Hi everyone, and welcome to this special facilitation training on lesson 7. This is one of my favourite lessons, the terror barrier. I really want to welcome everybody and say how grateful I am that I'm able to help you with this information, to really change lives for you as much as it's made a huge impact on my life. I'm really grateful for all my understanding and growth. Now let us go through the agenda. The agenda. Now I'm going to introduce lesson 7, the terror barrier. The terror barrier is a psychological block we create for ourselves that is related to our self-image. I'm going to review the lesson 6 worksheets. I'm going to review and watch the lesson 7 video with Bob. It's always good for you to know and put it all together because it's like a building block. We're going to cover the key points for lesson 7 plus the worksheet introduction for lesson 7, and then we'll close with a wrap up. I'd like to start off today with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing that you think you cannot do. Now let's move on to review our worksheet for lesson 6, Environment is but our looking glass. We'll first review the previous lesson 6, Environment is but our looking glass. From the previous lesson, our results are always a reflection of what is going on internally. If we have a negative or bad image of ourselves, our results are going to be a reflection of that image. Companies have an image of themselves, usually known as a brand. When you bring a group of people together in a spirit of harmony towards the same objective, you have one of the most powerful forces in the entire world, a winning team. If you want better results, check the image you have of yourself or the team. Now, does anyone have anything to share about how this exercise affected them? Then we're all set. Let's watch the video with Bob on the terror barrier. The terror barrier is a psychological block we create for ourselves that is related to our self-image. It comes up when we are doing something we've never done before or not used to doing. Fear is one of our biggest barriers to overcome. Understanding the terror barrier is key to crushing through fear and growing rather than bouncing off and staying stuck. When you push through the terror barrier, you grow. Anything you are setting a goal that results in you skipping a couple of rungs on the ladder of success, you will run up against the terror barrier. Whenever you go to make a serious change in your lifestyle, moving out of your comfort zone, you run up against levels of fear. We call it the terror barrier. With any change that would come under the category of a major change in your behaviour, the terror barrier will instantly and automatically be standing between you and the good that you desire or want. When this happens, you have a choice. You can step back into the safety and continue to experience the same results year after year, or you can be courageous and experience a growth that you have been seeking. Most people don't hit the terror barrier because the goals that they set are the wrong ones and don't challenge them to experience fear, as that is how they have been conditioned. There are 4 steps in the psychological process of experiencing growth dealing with the terror barrier. Step 1 is bondage. Step 2, reason. Step 3, terror barrier. Step 4, freedom. We move from bondage through to freedom. Let me explain each step through the terror barrier. Within bondage, you think X-type thoughts. You impress on your subconscious mind X-type thoughts. You get X-type results. You are not free, you are living within your comfort zone. X-type ideas and X-type thinking produce X-type results. This is X-type conditioning. When you have a thought, you think the same way as you have always done, as you feel comfortable with this. Getting emotionally attached at this level will produce the same X-type results you always have. It's our conditioning. We do not grow, and it's a safe option. You can stay in the same safe zone, our comfort zone. Or you can change. If you want to grow, you need to think differently. We need to think of a why idea. Then we start to think of why ideas. Your subconscious mind is still impressed with our X idea, and we continue to get X-type results. We don't want to, due to our conditioning. Until we impress on our subconscious mind to change, we are in a step of reason. When we get difficult ideas in our subconscious mind, but we don't impress on our subconscious mind, you won't change, as your Y vibration doesn't replace the X vibration already in your subconscious mind. You continue to get X-type results we do not want, which are caused by X-type conditioning. And even though on a conscious level we create an idea of living the life we do want, illustrated by the Y, nothing in our results change because we just deal with the Y idea on a conscious level. And because we have not internalized it, we do not act on it. So we can mentally see ourselves with what we want, we can even think about what we want, but nothing in our life changes because we have never internalized the idea. When you advance through reason to the terror barrier, you need to ask yourself two questions. Am I able? Or am I willing? A quote that I like is by Thorin and states, if a person advances confidently in the direction of their dream and endeavours to live the life they imagined, they will meet with success unexpected in common hours. We need to note that the ideas a person is emotionally involved with control the vibration they're in. Vibration on a conscious level is referred to as feeling. And although the results they are getting are not what they want, they feel comfortable in the vibration they are in because they have been living with it every day, probably most of their life. The terror barrier causes conflict. This is when our Y idea is impressed on the subconscious mind and acted upon. We get an XY thought, which lead to worry, doubt, fear, and physically manifests itself as anxiety that is due to the discord impressed on our subconscious mind by imagination, dreaming, will, etc. To convince the mind that it's now true to move to a state of freedom. Embrace the fear as it signals growth out the other side of that terror barrier. It excites and scares you at the same time. You have to have the faith that everything will come to you when you need it. Faith is ability to see things before it even gets here. We are here to do God's work, God's creatives, so we need to create. At this point, we'll either step forward into growth or step back into safety. When you talk about freedom without awareness, you will not move forward. This is like daydreaming. When you get involved in the XY vibration emotionally, you will hit the terror barrier with worry, fear, and anxiety. Everything is scary and outside your comfort zone. You need to break through to an area you have never been before. The way to do this is to study and gain knowledge. This will help you understand and give you the faith that you are emotionally involved, which leads to well-being and freedom. Understanding permits a person to step forward into growth and freedom. The doubt, fear, and anxiety have not left, however, though through understanding of study, they know if they persist, it will leave. Over a period of time, the Y vibration becomes your normal state. What you are doing becomes your habit, and you move back into bondage to start the process over again. The greatest deterrent that is stopping a person from going through the terror barrier to freedom is ignorance. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge and results in fear and anxiety in a physical state. Let's look at the key points from Lesson 7. Anytime you are setting a goal that results in you skipping a couple of rungs on the ladder of success, you will run up against the terror barrier. Whenever you go to make a serious change in lifestyle, moving out of your comfort zone, you run up against the terror barrier. With any change that would come under this category of a major change in your behaviour, the terror barrier will instantly and automatically be standing between you and the good that you desire. When this happens, you have a choice. You can step back into safety and continue to experience the same results year after year, or you can be courageous and experience the growth that you have been seeking. I remember last year I made a decision to leave my full-time job and start a new business completely from scratch. I had no funding to fall back on. I burnt all my bridges, and it was either going to be a wonderful experience or a disaster. And I had lots of doubt and fear and anxiety. Everything was battling against this. Should I do it? Should I not? Should I stay in the comfort? Should I do it or should I not? Well, I made the decision to jump and to go full pelt into my new venture, and I've never looked back. I entered the unknown, and I even moved house. I moved to a different country, and I got into a new relationship. And all this happened within the space of 6 or 7 months. And I could have stayed where I was in my comfort zone, or I could have gone through the terror barrier, made a serious change in my lifestyle, and I moved outside of my comfort zone and made that change. Yes, I had a choice, and yes, I decided that I would step forward into my terror barrier, through my terror barrier, and out the other side into freedom. Okay, let's discuss the worksheet for lesson 7, the terror barrier, and what you will be required to do for the next 2 weeks as your homework before the next lesson starts. So we need to review the goals that you established in lesson 1. Ask yourself, is this what I really want, or am I settling? 2. If you knew you had all the talent, ability and resources that you required to accomplish something beyond that which you are working on, what would that goal be? 3. List as many what ifs as you can as to what your life would be like if you accomplished this goal. 4. Now become emotionally involved. Let it be part of your imagined reality. 5. List your fears, doubts and worries. And 6. Look at your fears and write down what you are going to do about them. Great. Let's have a quote from Abraham Maslow to wrap up the terror barrier by stating, "You either step forward into growth or back into safety." Fear is one of our biggest barriers to overcome. Understanding the terror barrier is key to crushing through fear and growing rather than bouncing off and staying stuck. Let's all push forward through the terror barrier and grow. Not just our results, but ourselves also. Hitting the terror barrier tells us we are on the right track to growth and become a great person that we are today. The terror barrier is our old conditioning fighting against the new ideas pushing you to freedom and what you really want. Crush through it. So thank you so much and have a great evening. We'll see you soon.